And as I say, astrology is like looking from different windows at the same universe outside. So each astrology method is a partial view of the universe. I mean, I think we spend a lot of time struggling to say whether I'm right or you're right, whereas in fact, we're both right in a way, but not right in an absolute sense. So wisdom comes from learning from colleagues' other partial, even seemingly contradictory methods. This is my feeling about astrology. This transforms our minds to an ever greater understanding. So when we try and position ourselves in a particular space, then we don't understand as well as if we don't. And that's the message of astrology, isn't it, when we're doing charts for people? So all astrologers share a common knowledge of the structure of the cycles of the universe. And I put up there, as you can see, the book that those who are older people were totally dependent on. They got worn out copies of this where you thumbed it like mad. And on the right hand side, the latest edition of Solar Fire, which has got the which is what we use with other astrology programs as well today to do our calculations. Now, we will all agree with these sources of basic information. It's when we come to the methods and languages we use to interpret them that problems occur. And they shouldn't, because astrologers know why they feel why it might feel more comfortable just to group with people who complement our charts. You know, when you're doing a chart for someone, you don't recommend that an Aries will only spend time with Aries or a Taurus with the earth signs. You know, in fact, you're looking for opposites, you're looking for tension, you're looking for learning from differences. So it's dangerously counterproductive to just try and confirm yourself. So it should be the same with our astrological methodology. Doesn't mean you shouldn't keep a consistent focus and concentration on what suits you, but you shouldn't just be totally obsessed with the idea of the correctness of one system. So the central thesis of this talk is that astrology gives us insight into many other perspectives outside our own. That's our astrology chart. Indeed, more times we use astrology to understand situations outside ourselves, the better we understand the world. So by understanding and incorporating other methods of astrology into our practice, we become both better astrologers and better human beings. Now let's just say we become better astrologers and better human beings. Okay, nearly finished with the introductory wrap. I just wanted to just put on the table some of the areas of astrology that one could spend your whole life studying. And you can see there's Indian, Babylonian, Indian, Egyptian, Greek, Arabic, ethnic. By ethnic, I mean all the various systems of native people like the Maoris in New Zealand and other sort of pagan communities throughout the world. They have their own astrology too. There's classical, medieval, traditional, modern, Jungian, esoteric, evolutionary, cosmobiological, and symmetrical, and I'm sure I've missed a few out there, but these are various sources of information about astrology. And then there's concepts and methods, you know, geoheliocentric coordinates, tropical. Some people don't even realize that you can do heliocentric charts based on the sun at the center. They have a particular purpose, particularly if you're studying Steiner's theories. Tropical and sidereal, draconic, some of you will have heard of, which is another type of zodiac. There's many other zodiacs too. Secondary, tertiary progressions, primary, solar arc, and use of defined directions. Ptolemy, Lily, Dorothean essential dignities, luminary planetary returns, electional, astrocartography, planetary directions, rulership methodology, and I put ... after it because there's even more. And then, of course, all this information, these sources and these concepts can be used in various areas. And I've only mentioned a couple. I'm sure there are many others. The research, obviously, especially financial, mundane, historical, political, and then various consultations and counseling approaches, which is probably the richest field of astrology. But there's so many sub areas of it that I've grouped it together by various consultation and counseling approaches. So why are there so many ways of being right? Now, as well as all the things I've just mentioned, there are core factors that determine what might happen with the same astrological indicator, whatever the source, method and use. Now let's say what I mean by this. What I mean is that even if you use identical method to analyze a situation, the same zodiac, the same convention, the same system, the same sort of progression method and so on, you still could come up with a different outcome. And there's a reason for that. And it's how we behave. In other way, what our consciousness is, what we're attached to. So, question, are we behaving mindlessly, experience or falling into whatever comes along? Are we behaving manipulatively? That's battling to try and get one over on the world, to survive and dominate in what we see to be an unfriendly, competitive world. This is the big obsession of the modern time, isn't it? America first, Brazil first now, isn't it? Mexico's going to be first, but from a left-wing point of view, everybody wants to be first. That is leading to suffering, and it'll lead to a particular kind of result that is fairly predictable if you look at the astrology. And then there's the third, more enlightened, mindful approach, which is to seek deep understanding for the benefit of everyone. Now, depending on how a person is behaving, the motivation of behavior, the outcome could be entirely different. If it's a negative aspect, it doesn't have to be a negative outcome. It's a challenge, it's an opportunity. When Saturn's in the 7th house, you don't have to go and get a divorce if you're married. You can make it the greatest part of your marriage. It can sustain it and strengthen it. And there's so many examples of that. So it's very important. This, you get confused about whether you can predict with astrology. Well, you've got to ask the question, how is it being used? This is the very important point, I think.